Hi, and welcome back to Ivy English. I'm Karen.
And I'm Chris Gorski.
Today we're going to hear part 2 of the article that we started yesterday entitled Life of the Long-Tailed Tit. Now you will notice that I am not giggling today. We've finally gotten used to tit referring to a bird.
Yes, we are not 12-year-olds, and so we are not laying emphasis onto the word tit, as I know many of my boys would, and I would need to remind them that we need to speak English properly and carefully and always be respectful of our environment. If you don't recall what this word means, or for whatever reason, if you missed why we suggested that we could laugh at this, listen to day 1 where we really go into detail about it. And Karen said a line that was just shocking to me. I can't believe.
I'm not going to repeat it.
Yes.
You'll have to listen to yesterday's lesson to hear me say that line. It's something I would not say in a real situation.
I'm going to cut that and just put it on my phone. And every time you call me, Karen, you're going to call me on the phone. That's the ringtone.
Yeah, that's going to be sort of like the recording I have on my answering machine if I had one. It was kind of funny at the time. So listen to yesterday's lesson if you want to know what it is. But in case you didn't and you want to know what we're giggling about, we are giggling after all, is that tit is actually a very rude slang word for T-E-A-T, teat, which means breast. So every time we see the word, we get an urge to giggle a little bit because it's a taboo word. However, it's also just an ordinary name of a bird, and we've mostly gotten used to that by now. So our title again is Life of the Long-Tailed Tit. Despite its delicate appearance, the long-tailed tit is capable of remarkable engineering. Unlike the simple open-cup nest built by many birds, this species constructs a fully enclosed spherical nest with a small side entrance, usually hidden deep within hedges or tree forks. The outer walls are carefully woven from moss, grass, and animal hair, all held together by sticky spider webs and egg cocoons. This elastic binding allows the nest to expand as the chicks grow, while also helping the structure withstand movement and harsh weather.
Inside, the nest is lined with 1,500 to 2,000 down feathers to retain warmth. Gathering these feathers requires thousands of separate trips, making the nest-building process a demanding task. Construction typically begins in late February and takes about 3 weeks. Even so, many nests are still lost to predators.
This high rate of nest failure has played a part in the long-tailed tit's cooperative breeding behavior. Adults whose own nesting attempts fail often become helpers at the nests of close relatives. Rather than breeding again, they assist with chick feeding and defense. Studies show that this additional support significantly increases chick survival because more frequent feeding helps the young grow faster. These strong social bonds last beyond the breeding season. In winter, groups forage together and roost side by side in tight lines, relying on both cooperation and well-designed nests to survive the cold. I found this kind of moving, reading about how they work together.
As a kid, I used to wonder how animals survived the cold winters that we come from. And the truth is, many animals just don't survive. Mm-hmm. It's a very hard life. And they do have ways of staying warm, and they do have different biologies. Birds, for example, often have different kinds of circulation. That means the way the blood moves around your body. And they can control the way their blood moves around their body so as the blood in their feet doesn't get too cold, and when it comes back to their body, it lowers their temperature too much. Instead, birds can kind of recirculate in the top half of their body, and that very extra warm blood can then shoot down to its feet, keep it just warm enough so they don't have serious problems, and then returns to the core of their body so as not to lower the temperature too much, which I find just incredibly fascinating, controlling the way the blood flows through your body.
That is fascinating, and I really wish I had had a circulation like that when I was in Minnesota, because I grew up in those really bitterly cold winters down to 40 degrees below 0 Celsius and Fahrenheit, and I got frostbite. So my toes and fingers now have really poor circulation because I did not have that advantage.
Yeah, it gets extremely cold, and you wonder how animals survive. This past Chinese New Year, I was in the United States, and I was watching a lot of the animals kind of in my mom's backyard. And so she has this very large backyard where you have lots of deer, you see squirrels and birds of varieties, and you just think, man, this is a tough life where they're just trying to find some grass or trying to find something to eat under all of this snow. And it's incredible that biology has allowed them to do so.
That's right. And other animals that can survive include rabbits and foxes sometimes.
Yep.
Let's go back to the beginning. Our title again is Life of the Long-Tailed Tit. Despite its delicate appearance, the long-tailed tit is capable of remarkable engineering. So delicate appearance, that's referring to something we read yesterday, that they look like little fuzzy balls.
Yeah, and they only weigh between 7 to 10 grams. They are tiny.
Tiny.
They are lighter than most of the coins in your pocket.
But don't think that just because they're small, they are not really powerful in other ways. Unlike the simple open cup nest built by many birds, this species constructs a fully enclosed spherical nest with a small side entrance, usually hidden deep within hedges or tree forks. If you've lived in a cold climate, you know that the thing is not so much having a heater, it's having insulation.
Right.
Because if you don't have a draft of cold air blowing on you, you can slowly get warmer. But if it's a wide open space without walls that are tightly sealed, you're going to get really cold. So that's what they do when they build a nest. They cover almost the whole thing.
I suspect that the side entrance is to prevent a buildup of snow in the top of their nest. Now, snow is actually a good insulator.
It is.
So if it falls on top of the nest, the very bottom layer of that snow will melt and it will freeze and it will actually keep the inside extra warm. So if you were to ever camp in the snow, one thing you would want to do is pitch your tent and then cover everything except your side entrance in snow to help maintain warmth. I suspect that side entrance is designed to prevent the snow falling in and creating a little hump.
Dome, yeah.
Yeah, a little dome. That's a better word for it. So as to keep the inside a little bit extra warm.
And that's how the native peoples of Alaska and northern Canada survived, by building houses of ice and snow. And that's how it worked for us when we built snow forts when I was a kid. So everybody talks about snow angels, which are fun, and snowmen and snow women, which we already also made. But what I thought was really fun is when we built a covered snow fort. We had exactly what you described. So there was a space inside, but we built a roof over it with snow, and it was cozy inside.
I grew up on a dead-end street, not a cul-de-sac. That's where rich people lived. I grew up on a dead-end street, and they used it for snow storage in the winter. They would plow.
You had huge piles of snow.
Karen, we never needed to build a snow fort. They brought the snow fort to our house. It was great, and I know exactly what you mean. You would basically dig out your own apartment and hang out in it until your mother made you come back, and it was easy and comfortable to hang out in. It really is an interesting, insulating, warming material. Snow doesn't seem very warm, but it's good at keeping things warm.
That's right. It keeps the cold wind out. And we didn't have that advantage. We just had a regular yard. So this particular snow fort I'm remembering probably was one we built after a very, very heavy snowfall. And the snow gets like way up to almost the top of the door.
Let's look at a couple words here. So we have a tree fork, and that's a place in a tree where two big branches go off in two different directions. And so it creates this little V with a natural floor, and they will build the nest right in there. We also have this word hedge, and I want you to pay attention to DGE because it gets overlooked a lot in English. When we use DGE, it's telling you that the vowel in front is short. So it's not hedge, it has to be hedge. It's always going to be a short vowel. Think of the word bridge or ledge or fridge. They all have that DGE, and it's telling your eye, don't use magic E. It's not brige, it's bridge. It's not frige, it's fridge. Short vowels.
Very good. The outer walls are carefully woven from moss, grass, and animal hair, all held together by sticky spider webs and egg cocoons. Now, this really struck me. So, moss will grow naturally, that's to be expected, and grass as well. And animal hair is hair that they have already shed, so you're not really taking something away from them that they will miss. However, sticky spider webs, well, maybe you're taking that away from something that a spider very carefully built and then lost. And egg cocoons, well, some of them may actually actually give birth. The eggs may develop and then something emerges out of that. So those are living things or things that living beings are still using probably. So I found that interesting.
Yeah, I agree. It was very clever to me to okay, well, first of all, I'm going to eat you, spider, but don't worry, I'm going to take your whole house and use it to build my house too. It's a little bit like the Native American saying where they use every part of the buffalo.
Oh, yeah.
This is the situation in the bird world. So they're going to eat the spider and then use the house. Pay attention. We have double S's here, and this is going to tell you, watch out. Every time you have that double consonant, it's telling you that the vowel, almost always, is going to be another short vowel here. So we have grass, not grace.
That's right. And if it's a double S, it's usually not going to be Z, so it's grass. Like rose with an E at the end is only one S, and you get a Z sound. All right, to continue, this elastic binding allows the nest to expand as the chicks grow while also helping the structure withstand movement and harsh weather. And this makes me think of the time I got to watch birds close up, the doves that nested on our balcony. And chicks grow really fast. They are teeny tiny birds, but the chicks are going to keep getting bigger and they'll need enough space in the nest. It's flexible enough so it can expand. And there will be movement because the chicks move around, especially when they open their beaks really wide because they want to be fed. And harsh weather, you may get rain, and rain can damage nests.
The great part of the internet is that there are videos of this. You can always look it up. And if you're in the right parts and the right corners of the internet, they're just beautiful, fascinating videos of things that are very hard to capture in your real life. And other people were more fortunate and shared them with us. And so if you're curious about what this looks like, go online. There are videos of them building nests, and it's lovely and beautiful to watch.
You can find any of these things anytime, but often we don't know what to look for. So the advantage of having a reading like this is it makes you aware of something maybe you had never known of before, and it gives you a goal when you're online. Instead of just scrolling aimlessly around, you're going to see things much like what you saw before because they use an algorithm that always shows you similar things. This will be something new to add to your algorithm.
One of my favorite parts of doing this is always getting a new topic that I'm not particularly thinking about, but I get handed an article and says, Chris, what do you think of this? And it just these new little avenues of things to learn and things to discover. It's one of my favorite parts of this job. And it's like, I never thought about this bird, but boy, did I have a fun week just reading and looking at them.
My new word recently, it also sounds like something in nature, but it's something different, is earworm. Because I promote the echo method. You listen to a sentence or phrase, you hear it echo in your head, and you repeat it. So this is related to how we can hear a song in our head that plays and replays and replays. We can't get rid of it, and it drives us nuts. That is called an earworm, one word. It comes from German. So after I started looking for things about earworm, I got a lot of interesting new videos on YouTube. Okay,
all right.
Next paragraph.
Next paragraph. Inside, the nest is lined with 1,500 to 2,000 down feathers to retain warmth.
Instead of saying it the long way, which is correct, you might also just say 1,500 to 2,000.
I was debating about how to say that because I think Taiwanese like to say 1,500, and I believe I said 1,500 the first time around.
No, you didn't.
Okay, well, either way, we got both bases covered.
That's right. I think usually in something like this, where the number is not so precise, it's a very rounded off number, we will tend to say 1,500. 1,500 is good for learning how to say it in English, the basic way. But in a context like this, it'll often be 1,500 to 2,000.
Okay, so birds have several types of feathers, and the feathers we usually see on the outside of their body are to help them with flying, with strength, and with balance. We talked about that word aerodynamics yesterday. Down feathers are those very warm, fluffy feathers on the inside that help them maintain warmth, and they help them survive in temperatures as low as minus 20 degrees Celsius, and that's pretty important in cold, snowy places like Hokkaido.
That's right. And also, they are very fine feathers, and you will maybe see the word when you go to buy a jacket. It may say, this is a down jacket. It is from the very fine feathers of ducks or other seabirds.
Gathering these feathers requires thousands of separate trips, making the nest building process a demanding task.
And this also impressed me because it always brings back pictures of these birds I observed, both the mother and the father will be coming and going with materials to build the nest. They really work together on this.
Gathering is a nice word. We can compare it to collecting. When we gather something together, we're kind of bringing them together in a nice pile, and we kind of feel we're just grabbing from here and there. But collecting feels like you're more carefully selecting each item for whatever reason you're bringing them together. Pay attention to those words. They're not always exactly the same. Separate trips is correct. Don't say separate. That's the verb. And a demanding task is hard work. And I think collecting spider webs, egg cocoons, grass, and animal hair is probably a demanding and gross task. Construction typically begins in late February and takes about 3 weeks.
Okay, that's pretty straightforward.
Even so, many nests are still lost to predators.
Well, that's an important word. Predators are the animals that are after you. They want to eat you up.
That's right. And to compare, if you get eaten, you are prey, P-R-E-Y. I always like to tell my students, write out predator and prey together and look at the word prey. We have that E. Underneath it, I want you to write A-T-E-N. So prey are eaten.
Very good. All right, our last paragraph. This high rate of nest failure has played a part in the long-tailed tit's cooperative breeding behavior. And this is the part I found so moving just because they work together so well. Adults whose own nesting attempts fail often become helpers at the nests of close relatives. So your nest got ruined and your young eaten up or your eggs eaten up by some predator. So you think, well, I've lost my chance this time, but I'm going to help my family.
That's a really lovely behavior, actually. Many animals, you're out on your own. That's it. It's you versus the entire world. And these guys, they kind of work together. It's lovely. So before we continue, let's look at this word breeding. So oftentimes there is another word we can use, to mate or mating. Now, in some circumstances, these are used very carefully. Here, it just means making more babies. But if you were to talk about breeding dogs, that's different than mating dogs. When we breed a dog, we are having a planned management to create this kind of animal. A person is in control of what animals are making babies. When we mate, this is emphasizing the strictly physical act of whatever is happening, and there's no person kind of managing it. It's strictly the mechanics of making a baby. Be careful here. In this context, whatever word is fine, breeding behavior, mating behavior, but in other contexts, such as growing certain kinds of dogs, make sure you're using breeding.
Right. And like Chris said, the emphasis here is on producing offspring. So with mating, you're just having fun. With breeding, you are having babies. And so the word, the collective word, the noun for the babies that are born or produced is brood, B-R-O-O-D. And you can use this kind of jokingly with people. I said, are you coming alone or are you bringing the whole brood?
Oh, right. Yes, your whole gang.
Yeah. Rather than breeding again, they assist with chick feeding and defense. So instead of trying to lay eggs again, mating and laying eggs, they will help feed the other little birds and help protect them. Studies show that this additional support significantly increases chick survival because more frequent feeding helps the young grow faster. You've got more hands, less work. That means more people are bringing in food for the babies. They're going to get more to eat. They're going to grow better.
So birds are interesting in that you could kind of just feed them nonstop and it will adjust their growth rate. Now, we have this in humans too. The more you feed a baby, the bigger it will grow, et cetera, et cetera. But there's kind of with certain large mammals, there's a certain speed limit into how fast you will grow. With birds, you can jam food down them and they will just keep growing. It's kind of a weird biology that birds have. So if they aren't getting fed, they're just not going to grow. And if you just keep jamming it full of food, get ready for a big, fat bird that's going to grow real fast.
My brain is already producing a horror pic of this enormous long-tailed tit.
I just want to hold it. It's so cute.
These strong social bonds last beyond the breeding season. So they have worked together with these other birds, and they have built connection, which is what we all want. All of us want connection, and they get it by helping each other. So it doesn't end after the birds are grown and fledged. That means that they have flown away. In winter, groups forage together and roost side by side in tight lines, relying on both cooperation and well-designed nests to survive the cold. So the babies are born now, but everybody still has to survive the winter. So they go out and look for food together. They can protect each other from predators and then maybe give each other information on where to find, good food sources. And when they roost, that means they just sit on a branch. They sit close together side by side. And anybody who's trying to stay warm knows that if you sit close to other people, you're going to be a lot warmer. And they rely on both cooperation, working together, and their nests, which are not open. They just have this tiny door in them, opening in them, so that they can survive the cold, get through the winter alive with their babies.
So roost has a few interesting kind of little phrases attached to it that you'll frequently hear in English. If someone says chickens come home to roost, that means bad actions have bad consequences. And if you rule the roost, you're in charge.
I like that first one because if there's somebody who's acting really arrogant and he's bullying people, not being nice, cheating, doing all these things, but he still gets by with it. Nobody stops him. But then one day, he lands in jail. His chickens have come home to roost.
That's right. Bad consequences for bad behavior. Fingers crossed, that's the way it shall always be.
Yeah. All right. Question number 1. Which of the following can be inferred from the day 1 passage? A?
The long-tailed tit mainly uses its long tail to attract mates.
That's what we originally thought, but that's not all it does. B?
Snow fairy is commonly used as a formal classification name.
It's a name, but it's kind of a nickname, a popular name. It is not the formal classification name. C?
Feather coloration in long-tailed tits can vary depending on location.
This is the correct answer. Okay, number 2.
If you hear a long-tailed tit making bubbling sounds, what is it most likely doing?
A. Signaling danger to nearby groups. It does make those noises, but it makes them when it's nesting.
Letter B. Being engaged in nest construction.
That's what we just mentioned, and that's the correct answer. So I guess we can move on to number 3. Which of the following is most likely a long-tailed tit's nest? Look at the pictures that you see in question 3. Look for the one with a small side opening, and the answer is letter A.
Number 4. Which of the following statements is not true about the long-tailed tit?
The answer is D. Helpers are mainly responsible for building nests for related birds. No, actually, they're just doing it for their own species, mostly for themselves. And if the nest somehow gets damaged, then they will help their family members. Those are birds of the same subspecies. So the answer is D. And that's it for today. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.